how would you have handled this this physical altercation between players? And maybe it's a reality of the situation. Maybe it's handled differently if it's a end of the bench player, but Jordan Poole is, according to slanderous covert operations from Clutch Sports, entered training camp with a bad attitude because he's holding out for a big contract and whatnot. How do you handle this situation between two big time contributors?
Yeah, I don't want to give away too much of what I said on today's Nothing Personal, but I want to give some highlights that I think I'd like to hear your reaction to. The first step is that you meet with both Draymond Green and Jordan Poole separately. Then you meet with them together. Then you have a team meeting. You cannot let something like this fester. I want players policing themselves. That's number one. It is way more effective in the clubhouse, in the locker room, when there are players who are in charge. However, I got to draw the line when there's a chance of injury. Because the one thing I cannot have is players injuring themselves or each other. Just can't have it. Terrible waste. What Draymond Green was trying to say, and what he is saying, is that if we are going to be fat and happy, we're not going to be the dynasty that we believe we are and should be. And if this dynasty is going to be continuing, it's going to get new people leading the way. Jordan Poole, you are going to be leading the new type of dynasty. Here's how we do it. Here's how we prepare. Here's how we go into spring training or preseason. But there are ways to do that don't involve fisticuffs. And I wish that Draymond, who's so into new media, who's so into using his mouth, isn't it a better lesson for people to use your mouth instead of your fists, to try to explain to him how to be better instead of knocking his socks off? I just don't understand how Draymond can say he's this great communicator and then uses his hand to communicate.
Moreover, use that microphone to advance your agenda. I mean, yeah, Eric, give me that insight. Give me that
bring him on the show.
That truth.
Why can't Jordan Poole go on the show and you call him out and say, listen, Jordan, come on the show. There are going to be a lot of listeners, and we're going to talk about what's upsetting me and what we need to do in order to be good again this year and defend our title.
But if this report came out from a traditional media source, say Ethan Strauss has a whole write-up on this altercation and the building tensions inside that Warriors locker room, it'll just get refuted and, oh, that's old traditional media and they're lying and this is where the real truth is. And it really takes a discerning public, I think, and unfortunately, I think most people understand people's agendas involved, but there is such a cult of personality around athletes and Draymond in general that he just bought so much capital with his fan base that his truth is going to be the truth. And I mean, that's not necessarily new media. That's more propaganda.
Propaganda is what everybody's done. It was way easier before social media to engage in propaganda from the team standpoint. It's what we did.
Oh, I actually think it's way easier to engage in propaganda now because you have echo chambers.
So I'm going to push back on that and say
no. I'll just mention the election and where we are with just basic facts. I think it's so much easier now to weaponize social media and propagandize. It is so much now that shame is out the window. It is so much easier to propagandize.
But that's just preaching to the choir, right? There's fact checking that goes on. So
no, not if you don't give a shit about the facts. Boom.
No, everybody cares about the facts when the facts are what you want them to be and not being displayed that way.
Well, all right. Let's take an example. Herschel Walker, who claimed that everything was a lie. He didn't even know his accuser, and the facts come out that the accuser is actually a mother to one of his children. That would seem to poke holes in that, but they're holding the line, and this is all just a big takeout from the left, and they'll stoop to anything to make sure that we don't win this seat. Everything's a lie.
Well, the woman came out and said it. I forgot her name, Dana somebody, who just said, listen, I don't care what Herschel Walker does or doesn't do. I don't care his position if he wants to kill baby eagles or kill babies or whatever he wants to do. I don't want to lose control of the Senate. Right, I want control of the Senate. We have to get a Republican in that seat, and I give her credit for honesty. When you put Herschel Walker as a Senate candidate, it's beyond comprehension. That to me is the bigger issue. Not being red or blue. It's not having your best people represent you. And that's our biggest problem. That's who it was, Jeremy. Right. It was Dana Loesch. For me, it is just shocking that we have candidates like Herschel Walker running. It's embarrassing. We saw it in Florida so often when I was down there, the kind of people who run. I just don't get it. You people don't realize the power these politicians have. And nobody wants to run who's smart because they know that they're going to get examined and the skeletons in the closet and all the bad stuff. They're going to have to go around raising money like Francis Suarez running around raising money all the time. And you're not really governing. So the smartest people don't want to be a part of it. And that's the most depressing part.
I think when you look at the political spectrum right now, I don't think the left really has an answer for the shamelessness that some on the right do. The Herschel
they don't
Walker
want to play the game.
No, well, it's
also antithetical to their political platform and their sort of like their whole idea of governance, right? They actually care about this stuff,
right? But the right will just double down. It's political ad season, and it's infuriating. Everything is radical left and want to defund the police. I saw an attack ad that says this one candidate doesn't care about the police, wants to defund it, and then I see the other candidate's ad, and she's actually a cop.
Yeah.
So, like, it's
that's Val Demings here in Florida.
Yeah.
He's running against Marco Rubio.
I mean, Herschel Walker fits an archetype of where have we seen celebrity that isn't governed by shame running for office? All right. So it literally reached the highest levels in this country. And now you have Herschel Walker and you have Dr. Oz, and anything that is investigated and backed up by eyewitness accounts from victims in some cases. It doesn't matter. It's all a lie. Go Team Red.
It's all politically motivated.
And it's just the dumbest. It's the dumbest thing on the planet right now. And it has been cemented by things like social media because people just want to hear their own beliefs reinforced.
All I ask is that people are educated, and we're doing a project with Nothing Personal, hiring someone where there's going to be a database that you can go to see who's running, where you are, how you register to vote, learn where the campaign contributions are coming from. My whole point has been from the beginning through this craziness that's happened, not just over the last 6 years, it's been going on for a long time. I just want people to know who they're voting for. And once the people speak, the people speak. I can't argue against if you are on the right or on the left. That is totally your choice. But at least know what you're choosing. And that is something that has gone away. And you'd think with social media, it would be easier to understand who you're voting for. But the voter turnout rates are pathetically low. The knowledge that people have about real issues that actually impact them is pathetically low. And people are more interested in who's fathering who, which child's a bastard, who abused who, what, when, where, who's having the affair, who's got the biggest social media following. It's insane to me. It's as though these people don't get it. Trump said something interesting, love him or hate him. He said at one point, and I think it was Trump, or maybe it was Michael Douglas playing the American president. It was one of the two, I can't remember who, said that people need to drink water. I think it was the American president. When they're thirsty, they'll go through sand and they'll drink the sand because you told them it was water. That may not have been Trump. That may have been American president.
That was American president.
I would not compare those two figures.
You had me, though, with how you symboled through it. I was like, is this Trump?
And that was a Democrat, by the way.
That was a Democrat. And it's pretty prescient, isn't it? That all these years later, that really what politicians are doing is they are somehow making people believe that they are getting what they want. And those people don't even understand what they're getting. It is such a sad display of current governance.